If your business still depends on phone calls, missed calls, they aren't just annoying, right? They can be expensive. Because when someone calls a business, especially a local service business, they usually need something now, right? They want pricing, they want a book, and they want you to get the job done. And if you don't answer, there's a good chance that they're not going to be waiting around for you to call them back. Most likely, they'll, just call the next company on the list. Now, traditionally, your options were hiring a receptionist, paying a live answering service, or trying to answer every call yourself. But now there's another option, which is AI answering services. And I know some people are skeptical, but stick with me here because this category is changing very quickly. So in this video, I'm going to break down AI answering services versus live answering services, where each one makes the most sense, where AI clearly wins, where humans still matter, and how to figure out if switching to AI answering could save your business a serious amount of money in the long run. And make sure that you watch until the part where I break down the actual numbers, because that's where I'll show you how to tell if AI answering actually makes financial sense for your business. Now, before we compare them, here's the simple difference, right? So a live answering service uses real people to answer calls for your business. And an AI answering service uses conversation AI to answer calls, collect details, book appointments, summarize conversations, and route important calls when needed. So live answering is labor-based, while AI answering is automation-based. And that really does matter because human phone coverage can get expensive. In fact, according to the US Bureau of Labor Statistics, the median annual wage for receptionists was $37,230. And that's just the wage number. Now, if you actually hire someone, you may also have payroll taxes, training, turnover, benefits, sick days, and all the other costs that come with having an employee. And for an owner who would, otherwise hire, that gap between a tool and a full-time salary can run into the tens of thousands of dollars a year, which is something that we'll put real numbers on here shortly. Now, live answering services, they can be cheaper than hiring full-time, but they're still built around human labor, so costs can rise as your call volume grows. But cost is only one side of this, right? The other side is speed. Now, when someone calls your business, timing definitely matters. A study from MIT and Inside Sales Lead Response Management found that the odds of contacting a lead drop 100 times when response time goes from 5 minutes to 30 minutes. And that's a huge difference. So the question isn't just, can someone answer the phone? It's can they answer fast enough before that lead moves on? And that's where AI gets really interesting because it can answer after hours, on weekends, during call spikes, or when the owner is out on a job. And that's why AI answering services are starting to feel less like a novelty and more like a real business tool. In fact, Gartner surveyed customer service and support leaders and found that 85% plan to explore or pilot customer-facing conversation AI in 2025. So whether you personally love AI or you're still skeptical, the market is clearly moving in this direction. But that doesn't automatically mean that AI is going to be better for every call, right? So let's compare the two options side by side here. Now, the easiest way to think about this is to compare AI answering and live answering across 5 different areas. So we're going to do cost, speed, availability, consistency, and human judgment. First is cost. AI usually has the advantage here because it's not built around a human agent handling every minute of every call. With live answering, you're paying in some way for human time. And that could be an employee, monthly minutes, plan limits, extra usage, or higher tiers as your needs grow. With AI, the economics can scale differently because the system can handle more calls without adding a human to every single conversation. Now, that doesn't make it free, right? But it can be a lot more attractive if you need more coverage without hiring another person. Second is speed. And this is probably one of AI's clearest advantages. If someone calls and your AI answering system picks up immediately, you're not waiting until someone becomes available. You're not sending that person to voicemail, and you're not asking them to wait until tomorrow morning. And when the odds of contacting a lead drop 100 times when response time goes from 5 minutes to 30 minutes, this is a huge benefit of an AI answering service. Third is 24/7 coverage. Now, live answering services can offer around the clock coverage, but that coverage still has to be staffed. And usually, the more coverage you want, the more you should expect to pay. Now, AI has a natural advantage here because it can answer calls after hours, on weekends, and during busy periods without needing a night shift. Now, for a small business, that can be a big deal. If you're let's say, a plumber, a roofer, landscaper, cleaning company, HVAC company, or really any other appointment-based business, you may get calls when you can't answer. And AI can help close that gap. And by the way, if you want to see the AI answering service that I'd personally start with, you can click this link right up here at any time throughout the rest of this video to check it out. Now, fourth is consistency. A good AI answering system can follow the same process every time. It can ask the same intake questions, collect the same details, summarize the call, and make sure that the information isn't lost. Live agents can be great, but quality can vary depending on the rep who answers the phone, training, experience, call volume, turnover, and how closely they follow your script. So if you want consistent intake, transcripts, call summaries, and structured lead capture, AI has a strong advantage. But fifth is, human judgment. And this is where live answering still wins. Now, if a call is emotional, complicated, sensitive, or requires judgment, a human may still be better. And I think that's, important to say because a lot of AI companies oversell what AI should do. AI can be extremely useful, yes, but it's not the right solution for every conversation. So now that we've looked at the comparison here, let's go ahead and talk about where AI answering makes the most sense. AI answering is strongest when your main problem is missed calls, slow responses, repetitive questions, or basic intake. For example, if people call to ask about pricing, availability, service areas, appointment times, estimates, or basic next steps, AI can usually handle a lot of that very well. It can answer the call, collect the caller's name, phone number, location, service needed, urgency, and preferred appointment time. Then it can summarize everything so you or your team know exactly what happened. Now, this is especially useful for after-hours calls, and this is where the missed call problem gets real. In fact, a survey by Vita showed that 42% of SMBs estimate that they lose more than $500 per month because of missed customer calls. And that's more than $6,000 per year. And depending on your business, that number could be much higher. If one booked job is worth, $500, $1,000, $2,000 or more, then missing just, a few good calls per month can become a serious problem. So AI answering really makes the most sense for businesses where calls are valuable, the intake is fairly repeatable, and speed matters. But there are still situations where I wouldn't start with AI. Okay, so in short, I wouldn't frame this as AI replaces humans, right? A better way to think about it is that AI can handle the repetitive front end of the call process, while humans can step in when judgment is actually needed. AI answers quickly, captures the basics, books when appropriate, and escalates when something needs human attention. And once you understand that, the next question really becomes simple. Does AI answering make financial sense for your business? All right, so here's the buyer framework that I'd really use here. So first, how many calls do you miss each month? Second, on average, what's one new customer worth? Third, how fast do you need to respond before that lead goes cold? Fourth, are most of your calls repetitive or complicated? And fifth, are you trying to replace a receptionist, reduce live answering costs, or just stop missing calls after hours? Each is a slightly different goal, but the same math answers all three. So here's a simple example, right? So say that you miss 40 calls per month. If only 10% of those could turn into real customers, that's 4 potential customers. And if each customer is worth $500, that's $2,000 in possible missed revenue every single month. Now, not every missed call will become a customer, I realize that. And not every business has the same close rate or customer value. But that's the point of the framework, right? You don't need to guess whether AI answering is actually worth it. You can compare the cost of coverage against the value of the calls that you're currently missing. And once you run that math, the right choice becomes a lot clearer. Now, if you barely get phone calls and every call is complicated, AI may not be the best answer for you. But if you get regular calls, missed calls during the day, lose after hours leads, or spend too much on call coverage, AI answering is absolutely worth looking into. And that brings me to the AI answering service that I'd start with myself. So if you're comparing the best AI answering services out there, Expert is the one that I'd look at first for most small businesses. And the reason isn't just that it uses AI. The reason is that it lines up with the actual problems that small businesses are trying to solve. Now, most missed calls, they aren't deeply complicated, right? A lot of people, they're calling because they want to know, if you're available, if you serve their area, what the next step is, how to book, or whether someone can, call them back. Expert is Nextiva's AI receptionist, and what sets it apart from a bolt-on answering tool is that it runs on Nextiva's own phone system so that the calls, the texts, and the web chats all move through one place. Every call writes itself into your records, and a booking lands on your calendar mid-call, so you're not the one, wiring the phone to the calendar to the CRM. Pricing starts at $99 per month for 100 conversations, which is a number to set against the missed revenue that you had just calculated. And to be clear, I've set Expert up myself for a handful of clients that I've worked with. It trained on their businesses from a simple website link and was live on a real phone number in about a minute or so. So if you want to see whether Expert makes sense for your business, you can click the link right up here to book a demo, see how it works, and get started with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And to me, the biggest benefit isn't really just the cost savings. The biggest benefit is that fewer calls will slip through the cracks. Because if a potential customer calls while you're on another job, driving, eating dinner, or just not near your phone, Expert can still pick up and start the process. That's what makes it especially interesting for local service businesses, appointment-based businesses, small teams, and owners who are still too involved in the day-to-day to answer every call personally. And in a world where speed to lead matters so much, that can be a real advantage. So here's my final verdict. Live answering still has a place, especially for complex, sensitive, emotional, or judgment-heavy calls. But if your biggest problems are missed calls, slow response times, and after-hours leads, then for most small businesses out there, Expert is the AI answering service that I'd start with. So again, if you want to try Expert or see how the numbers compare for your own business, you can go ahead and click the link right up here to book a demo and see the platform in action. Now, if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in the comments below. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.